Hello everyone, welcome back to the WM32Football Podcast. This week, EFL Cup or League Cup week. So we're going to be talking about how the Big Six got on and then all the other cup upsets that happened as well, and also reacting to last night's draw that was made as well. So Connor, if we're going to start with the holders, Manchester City, away at Preston.
Yeah.
Thoughts on that particular result and the performance?
It's not a surprise from City. We've seen them do it against everyone. I actually didn't watch the game. I've seen highlights of the game. Looked like they played well. Preston obviously put up as much of a fight as they can, but City's different class. We saw them in the semis against. Who did they play last year in the semis where they just absolutely ripped
Burton, was it?
Burton. It was like 40-0 on aggregate. Absolutely disgusting, isn't it? What do you think, Wezzo?
I think that particular performance and result, I mean, again, didn't particularly see the game, only have seen sort of highlights of it, but you could tell City dominant, authoritative within their performance and within their play. And I think one of the big surprises is actually Guardiola and his strength within the team selection, because you still had, I think you had a midfield three of De Bruyne, Silva, Phil Foden, and then a front three, I think it was Bernardo Silva, Raheem Sterling and Gabriel Jesus.
Yeah.
And it's just like...
Exactly, but you look at that, even their like younger players like Phil Foden and stuff like that are of such a high quality just because of the way Pep coaches them. And this is why I say he's the best coach in the world, because no matter what, you remember what Phil Foden did against you last season? Scores a goal, runs that game. He can do it when he gets thrown in. So that whole City squad have that strength to be able to do that. Not surprised that they went through. It's not like everyone walks into that game going, we know what the end result's going to be. It's just what the score is, especially after that 8-0 battering at the weekend.
Yeah.
Another big winners, big hitters this week was Chelsea. We saw the return of Reece James and Callum Hudson-Odoi, both of them getting on the score sheet as well. Unfortunately for Grimsby Town, it was 7-1.
7-1, but I think if you look at, obviously Chelsea out the blocks nice and early, couple of early goals, and then Grimsby got themselves back into the game. By the looks of it, obviously the game had sort of settled down, and then I think Chelsea's quality in the end just showed with, I think it was like 3 late goals in the final sort of 6 minutes or so. But Reece James, what a performance.
Yeah, great performance. It's great for him to be back as well. Probably going to be Chelsea starting right back over Big Dave, Aspilicueta. He's going to be their starting right back this season. Came back, scored, got a couple of assists, was dominant all game.
Yeah, and I think, what friend of mine that's Wigan season ticket holder and was saying about Reece James last season, and he just said how good he was. It was like every week he was the best player on the pitch for Wigan, and I think ended up winning their young player of the year as well. So his first loan, I think, as well. So to get that and to play that well in a side that had just come up from League One, and to be that outstanding and play and be their best player, and he wasn't always playing as a right back as well. There was times he was playing in midfield.
He looks very comfortable to adapting into any position. Every time he stepped forward, looked comfortable on the back foot, looked comfortable, as we said at Wigan, was comfortable going forward, going back, on the ball, doesn't mind receiving the ball as well. It's always open for the pass, doesn't mind taking on a bit of pressure, so that's good. Another good thing as well with Callum Hudson-Odoi coming back, good for Chelsea, good for England as well.
Yeah.
Obviously getting on the score sheet as well, started as well. Hopefully get back up and running and break into that England team, because as we were saying a couple of weeks ago, if you hit a couple of injuries in that England team, you're very thin in places. To have Hudson-Odoi coming back at the right time as well, just before we hit like the Christmas period, stuff like that.
Yeah, perfect. Like you say, I think it was important for him to get a goal as well. And that we know Hudson-Odoi is quality going forward, and I think Frank's wanting him to do a little bit more, because I don't think Frank was 100% happy with Hudson. Yes, it's great that he's back, but obviously those finer details of what is going to he's going to need to work on. Yes, he's still very, very young, and that will probably come. But if he wants to say progress even further, it is those finer details I think that Frank was talking about in terms of breaking lines from out to in runs and everything like that. Of what he's going to probably need to work on.
That will come with time, but it's good to see him back playing. He looked electric as well in the highlights that I've watched.
Yeah.
But let's move on to another big winner.
Yeah, big win for you boys.
Yeah.
At the Emirates. I did wonder though, was it fancy dress at the Emirates? Because it seemed there was quite a few empty seats.
Yeah, there was quite a few, but as it is, I was at the game. League Cup game, we don't sell out. There was about 52,000 at the ground. I went with Ellie and Kelly, who were sceptical after the last time we played Forest. But it was a shaky start until we got the first goal. Then after that, we just sort of grew into the game. But Forest were constantly in it. They were constantly creating chances and giving Arsenal problems. One of my managers where I work also went, he's a Forest fan, ended up sitting in the Arsenal end. Turned around and went, if you look at the two sides from Forest, they only had 3 of their first team start from the weekend before when they played Fulham. So they had made such a big rotation in their squad as well as Arsenal did. So he wasn't surprised Arsenal really ran out winners. But you look at great performances from Holding coming back from injury, getting a goal. Yeah. Kieran Tierney, who is absolute gas.
I mean, I said it on the transfer edition. He's going to be. He's going to be the signing once he's back up and running. I think
he'll start against United come Monday because he looked ready. He sent their right back for about a hot dog 3 times in the first 20 minutes. His recovery pace is outrageous. There's one point he gets into a little collision with their forward, and everyone's like, just blow it off, it's a little collision. He gets up in the guy's face straight away, like, what you doing? Proper Scotty name. And then the biggest cheer from the whole night is when Hector came back on. You would have seen my Snapchat or Instagram. I love Hector. So he came back on, the whole crowd went. He was on 50 seconds, created a goal. Brilliant from him to come back as well after 9.5 months out. Same with Rob Holden, about 10 months out. So good for those 3 to come back for Arsenal in the long run. But Gabriel Martinelli, great. Joe Willock, very good. It was a good performance mainly in the second half though. First half was shaky till we got that second goal. But other than that, pretty happy. Forest were a good side. 5-0 was probably a little bit flattering.
Yeah, I was just going to say, was the score like, if you're saying Forest are a good side, but then you're beating them 5-0, so
scoreline was very flattering. All of our goals were well worked and well created. But yeah, scoreline very flattering. Forest could have had a couple, but it was just the quality on the Arsenal side going forward that just got us through it, realistically. Mustafi played, and every time he got the ball, I was like actually scared. Like, I don't understand what he does. So, yeah.
Is that Mustafi or Granit Xhaka? You don't understand what they do?
I don't understand, Robbie.
Don't understand. Right, so moving on from Arsenal then, and one of the big boys that struggled to overcome lower league opposition was Man United.
Yes.
Yes. Only getting past Rochdale on penalties, and I think by the looks and the sounds of it, Dan James again having to come to United's rescue. Yeah.
But let's for a moment speak about the 16-year-old Rochdale player who today is taking a psychology exam.
Yeah, life comes at you fast sometimes, you know.
Yeah, to be fair, he's very switched on. Like he even said last night, like anything can happen in football. I've got to have a career behind me. So very smart from the lad. But you're gonna look a highlight of his life. He can walk in. He's probably walked into school this morning and go, "See what I done last night, mate."
Yeah, he's walking in, obviously feeling 6 foot tall and everything like that. But obviously from the United perspective, there was a bit of a mix of sort of youth and experience and whatnot. So was it just a case of one of those days at the office, or is this something now that we're becoming accustomed to seeing with?
I was checking Facebook all the way through the night because I didn't watch the United game because I had better things to do with my life. But it was like Wan-Bissaka saved us. Wan-Bissaka's our only decent player. He made a goal line clearance to stop them, obviously going behind. But like the United fans are not happy with the squad, and from reports, apparently they've already got someone lined up for if Solskjaer loses the next couple of games to get rid, which is a bit premature, but as I said back when he was given the job, give him till the end of the season and give him the job, because if you give him the job and he performs poorly, then you're going to be like, but don't worry, they were charting ollies at the wheel a bit too quickly.
Okay, so moving on from United and then Liverpool.
Yep.
At MK Dons last night.
We were both there. It was a good game.
We was both there. What did you make of the European champions?
I liked a lot of what they did last night, but Dons caused them a lot of problems. I'm going to put that out now. There was a couple of good saves from like some random 18-year-old in goal for Liverpool. There was some geezer behind me just for the whole game. If they weren't Keita, Ox or Milner, they were stupid, or as he called Harvey Elliott, who was probably Liverpool's best player all game, a silly little boy. But yeah, Harvey Elliott was different class last night. Created the most chances in the first half, won the most tackles, stuff like that. Then in the second half, you could tell it was sort of hitting him because he got obviously his first game for Liverpool, like tiredness coming into it. But they looked good. Liverpool did look good. Their younger side, there should be that disparity from a lower league team and an academy sort of level, or European champion level. Yeah,
but I mean, you say that, but then Liverpool still had Gomez, Lovren, Lallana, Milner, Ox, Keita in the team.
Yeah, but then you saw a lot of changes come through the game.
So was that a case then of like, right, you boys go and get the job done, and then once the sort of job's done, then you can bring...
I felt sorry for the Don's keeper last night. Milner's absolutely pinged one, he's just absolutely fumbled it and gone in.
I think there was a point where somebody said in and around where I was sitting, when did MK Don sign Lloris Karius? after the error from the goalkeeper.
Yeah, but it was one of them. I don't think he was expecting it. So, but you look at it as he's lined up. I've watched replay of it. Like he's lined up here, and no one in the ground is thinking he's hitting this. Not even the keeper. So his position's like not ready for hit. He's thinking across, and then he just fumbles it and it goes in. It's one of those that happens. But the Don striker last night, your boy, you loved him.
Nombe, yeah. I was really, really impressed with him. Caused Lovren all sorts of problems. I think even Joe Gomez
had a couple of problems, but I think Joe Gomez's pace sort of helped him out a bit more.
Yeah, and I think his sort of physicality as well, from Gomez, he was just a little, leaning in and things like that. But no, I think Nombe caused Liverpool's back four, well, the two centre halves especially, a lot of problems.
If he carries on, because apparently he's been playing well in the league as well. If he carries on, you could see him getting a move in January, or if he stays and has a good season, you could get a move, maybe a Championship or lowish side in the Premier. Depends how good his season is. One player that I want to pick out because he's not 20 is the number. I can't remember his name. Came on.
Herbie Kane.
Yeah, Herbie Kane.
Yeah.
Came on last night. Wearing number 55. I'm pretty sure he is 55.
He did look it, to be fair. He did look it, but
he wasn't bad when he got on the ball. Neither was his name's gone. Pedro Chiravella. That's it. There we go. He came on. He looked lively. Wanted to get involved. Obviously, a lot of the younger players, they're going to get cup minutes and stuff like that. So they're going to want to impress Klopp. And to be fair, it's the most subdued I've ever seen Jurgen Klopp.
Yeah, he wasn't his usual sort of animated self, but then I think he sort of knew...
He trusted his team to go out there and sort of do a job and
I think,
give the younger lads...
I think one of Liverpool's big things has been their in-game management and how they manage the games. I think it's been superb, and I think, even in the Champions League final in Madrid, the way that they just managed the game was different class. It was they go a goal up or get a couple of goals, and then it's you play the game at our pace and our tempo. And I think last night was also evidence of that in full flow.
Talking of Champions League final, let's talk about your boys playing the mighty Colchester United.
Oh, here we go.
So your starting lineup, I saw this starting lineup. I was like, there's only two non-first team players because Skip is questionable to be a first team player, rotation player.
Yeah.
And this was the second largest cheer at the Emirates, is when we found out you lot had lost. because obviously we kicked off a little bit later.
Yeah, but it shows how far you lot have come as a club.
I think we just find it funny when you lot lose.
It shows how far you lot have come as a club. Really.
Oh no, we've always done it. But yeah, you lot just to have Ericsson, Dele on the field, Skip, strong. You had a strong lineup out, and what was it? It's
an embarrassment. That is the only way I can put it and keep it clean. It was an embarrassment. I'm sorry. You have experienced players out on that football pitch. They should have got the job done. And you have players that have played in the Champions League final 4 months ago. It's the only football club I know that can go from a Champions League final to losing to Colchester in the space of 4 months. It's one of those things that you go, how did you sum up your football club without mentioning who they are? But honestly, an absolute embarrassment. Everybody now at the football club, Tottenham, need to look at themselves, top to bottom, because that is unacceptable.
Yeah,
that is unacceptable. We had enough out on that football pitch
the amount of
to
star
go and win
quality,
the game.
international quality as well out on that pitch. It's sort of similar to when, it's obviously not as bad, but when Dons beat United a few years back.
Yeah.
There was a lot of memes that I was going to tag you in, but seeing you'd already been tagged in.
Yeah.
From.
Well, to be fair, my phone was pretty quiet. I was expecting it both barrels all day yesterday, and
yeah, I think there was a lot of West Ham fans holding off. Speaking of West Ham.
Well. Just when I thought things couldn't get any worse for Spurs, at least I had West Ham to kind of cheer me up a little bit, because their performance away at Oxford was
shambolic.
I was going to say interesting, to be honest, but you go with shambolic. Pellegrini making, I think it was up to 9 changes from the weekend's victory.
That's the thing with. So we say it like our teams have made changes. For the big 6, you can afford to make changes and possibly risk it in a League Cup or an FA Cup because you've got other competitions on your mind. For a West Ham, they should be focusing on trying to get somewhere in the cup, not just for revenue but for the fans and possibly to win a trophy. Because you're looking at it with Spurs going out, United could have lost last night. We've seen upsets where Arsenal got out to stupid teams in cup competitions before. Nottingham Forest did it at theirs a few years back. Like, for a club like that, they should be pushing to try and hit a quarters or a semi, or to try and get to a final, because how many other chances are they going to get when they've only got the league, which they're fighting to get into the top 8 of, the FA Cup and the League Cup? So, for me, they should be putting out a stronger side.
It's very much a risk and reward thing, because you make those changes, you win, and it's forgotten about. You lose, and then it's all of a sudden, why did you make the 9 changes?
Yeah.
But then actually, a lot of the time within football clubs, you need to, obviously you've got squads for a reason, so try and use them. And then that coupled with sports science and data and everything like that is can be factors as to why.
I think it wouldn't be that much of a problem if it was a 1-0, but to lose 4-0.
Yeah, and I mean, some of the defending for some of the goals was like horrendous. I mean, I wouldn't expect that from a grassroots under-10s team.
Yeah.
Or, it was like you say, shambolic really from West Ham's perspective. From West Ham's perspective,
it was the highlight of your week. To be fair, after Tuesday
night, not quite. But yeah, it wasn't quite a highlight because, like I say, the embarrassment from Spurs, and that's what it is. It's an embarrassment. But it was.
I think
it was one of those. It was quite.
Both clubs will look to try and put those 2 games past them and get a run on in something in a different cup competition. You lot have got the Champions League, they've got the FA Cup maybe.
Yeah. But then if we go on then from West Ham and other clubs that maybe could have been seen to make a bit of a run in a cup competition. Bournemouth, obviously they lost to Burton last night. 28 minutes added time as well in that one. A few floodlight failures, I believe, at the Pirelli. What do you make of that particular result?
First of all, they need to change who their light supplier is, to be fair. 28 minutes, unreal. it's one of those, again, you go away, you make changes, you can slip up. And as I said with West Ham, the not smaller clubs, but the middling teams in the Prem realistically should be trying to make a push at a cup competition. But it doesn't surprise me. We saw Burton are a good side. Obviously did well last year. Could do it. I don't know how the game went, because obviously I haven't watched any of it, because 28 minutes added time was not what I wanted to deal with. As well as being at the Dons game. What do you personally think about how that game went for
Obviously,
Bournemouth?
disappointing for Bournemouth. But I think it's one of them, like, obviously with clubs like West Ham, Bournemouth, and probably a club we're going to go on to next, Sheffield United.
Yeah.
The League Cup and the cup competitions aren't that high on the priority list.
Yeah.
I think first and foremost,
It's
especially
safety.
for, you know, Sheffield United, for example, it's like, right, stay in the Premier League, that's first and foremost. If we get a cup run, great. If not, it's not going to determine.
Look back
our
at it,
season.
where they could do what Swansea did a few years back, where they focus on the League Cup, bin the FA Cup off, and focus on the Prem as well. So those are where they split their squads, and they mix and match, and then Swansea they won the final, didn't they? Who they played?
They played Bradford that year.
Yeah. Like, that could happen. Like, we've seen it before. It could happen again. So that's why I'm sort of saying with sort of West Ham, Sheffield United's different. First year back in the Prem, get safety. West Ham and Bournemouth have enough quality to keep them up anyway in the Prem. They should be trying to make a go of the League Cup. Just because we've seen, like, Wigan in the FA Cup, the year they went down, ironically, won it. They've got to League Cup finals before Wigan have, when they beat Arsenal with, ironically, floodlight failures that year as well, 2006. And other clubs like that. Like, you can get to finals with a couple of lucky results or good games, stuff like that. That's why I think it's more. It should be more important to them.
But obviously, we've touched on Sheffield United. Obviously, losing to League One Sunderland. I don't know if you've seen Max Power's goal, by the way, but that is a thing of beauty to put that in the top bins. But I think, as we've said, priority-wise for Sheffield United, the cups aren't.
Yeah, the cups aren't up there for them. This first season back in the Prem, they've got to make sure they stay up, and they've been a good enough side to possibly been around there of staying up. So I'm not surprised.
And I think as well, Chris Wilder did very, very well in his press conference by sort of keeping expectations and being realistic with it, because I think a reporter asked him, you know, are you going to go for a cup? And he sort of said, hold on a minute, we've won one away game and all of a sudden we're going to win the cup. Like, what's the matter with you lot? So I think, again, like I say, Chris Wilder done well just to rein
it back in a little bit.
Yeah, and just sort of said, look, it's not at the top of our priority list. Obviously, staying in the Prem is probably where they're going to be at. But obviously, who knows what could happen in the FA Cup? Again, they might get some favourable ties and potentially go far. Speaking of the cup draw, the two games that sort of stick out that are very, very tasty. You've got Liverpool versus Arsenal, of course. And Man United versus Chelsea. So we'll start with Liverpool Arsenal.
Do we have to?
Yeah, because I want to get your thoughts on
the
draw and that particular time.
Just a nice cup run while it lasted. No, I think both squads will probably rotate, but not as heavily as they have done. I don't think it'll be like the league games where Liverpool just slapped us about for just fun, really. I think it'll be tighter because it's a cup game, not more to play for, but players give a little bit more in cup games, especially the younger players that will play. But it's a tough one, especially going away to Anfield. It's always horrible because it was even the Liverpool fans last night at Dons were letting off flares in the away end, and they're like, all right then, like, you lot ain't come to mess about, have you? Like, it's Dons away on a Wednesday night. I think you're letting off flares, like, yeah. Anfield's always a horrible place to go. Especially it's not going to be long away. If we get a couple of injuries, you look, Smith Rowe got injured on Tuesday night, concussion, so he's out for 2 weeks. Obviously, FIFA say 6 days. We've given him 2 weeks to sort of make sure he's all right. I think there'll be strong squad rotation. Oxlade-Chamberlain will score the winning goal and will go out.
And then the other glamour tie, Man United versus Chelsea.
Oh, the battle for 8th in the league. Yeah, that'll be a good game. Where is it?
I think it's at, I want to say Old Trafford, but
yeah.
Don't quote me on that.
I'm not sure. It might be at the Bridge, or I think it's at the Bridge actually.
Right.
I'm gonna get slated if it's wrong now, isn't it?
Yeah, I think we both are, to be fair. Apologies, guys.
Yeah, it's his fault. That'll be a good game. Obviously, they'll have a strong squad rotation, both teams, but the way United are going, I can only see Chelsea winning it. Honestly.
Really?
Yeah. Especially, you're going to look at that Chelsea side, that front four could be to set up against United, who are shambolic at the best of times at the moment. Ollie's will has fully fallen off. You're going to have Tammy, Callum, Pulisic, and Mason, possibly. Or, I'm not sure if Loftus-Cheek will be back in time. Then you're looking at that midfield of, you'll have Jorginho in there, Kante, Kovacic, Ross Barkley, and loads of high quality players. Match it up team to team, United versus Chelsea. Chelsea probably edge it.
You say that, but then United did do a number on Chelsea earlier on in the season.
But I think
league.
that was because it was Frank's first proper game and he was just trying to get into it. And if you look at it, you've got a penalty in there, which somehow United keep on getting penalties in the league. And they just took their chances. Chelsea weren't bad in that game.
Granted.
And they probably could have got a lot more out of that game if they'd taken their chances. But as we said with the Dons game, if you don't take your chances, you're going to get punished. It's going to happen. But I can see Chelsea edging it, especially with Callum coming back and being all guns blazing. Then even if they don't play those players, you've still got Pedro and William, who are close to retirement home, but still got a little bit left in them.
And then 2 other ties that come out of the draw.
Yep.
And I think there's a really, really good chance for all of these clubs. You've got Crawley versus Colchester and Oxford versus Sunderland. So there's a real opportunity here for 2 clubs.
Quarterfinals for
to get in the quarterfinal, yeah.
It's Oxford versus Sunderland.
Yes.
Hope Sunderland go out, personally. I've always hated Sunderland. I think Oxford will win that, though. Especially the way they play against West Ham. And then Crawley versus Colchester. That would have been a nice little away trip for you. I know a good few pubs in Crawley and Horsham. My own parents owned a few. So.
And I think obviously, you mentioned it there, from Spurs' perspective as well, that's the annoying thing about this cup draw. Is that that one of either Liverpool or Arsenal are out.
Or United or Chelsea.
Yeah.
So you're looking at it for even those 4 teams, you're looking at it, you're rather going to miss out on hitting Arsenal, Liverpool, or Chelsea or United.
Yeah.
You could hit maybe a City, because...
Could, potentially. But a lot of the big...
For 2 of those big 4 teams in the competition to go out such an early stage. This is why I'm saying, smaller clubs should really prioritise a cup at times, because you're going to get those big glamour ties, and one of those big teams who are possibly a favourite for it are going to go out.
Yeah.
I'm not saying it's going to happen, but if Arsenal beat Liverpool, that's a favourite out.
Yeah.
If United beat Chelsea, that's a favourite out, or the other way around. And then I expect City to go through next round because it's City, and their squad is absolutely ridiculous. But
again, for the clubs that lower down, so your Oxford, Sunderland, Crawley, and Colchester, they get through here, and they could get a City away, or a Liverpool, or an Arsenal, or a United, or a Chelsea
the trouble for those fan group as well as the players. It's I know Don's made a lot of changes before the Liverpool game to their weekend squad, so a lot of those players could play against Liverpool, because how many other times are you going to get to play against a big side, especially European champions as well? So if you get through, and a lot of clubs do, or they split the ticket revenue a bit more evenly, so the smaller club gets a bigger percentage of the ticket prices, or the ticket revenue, sorry.
And then there's also a chance that the game will be on TV as well,
which is massive for them.
Yeah.
So that would be good. Like Don's made a fair bit from obviously ticket sales last night. I don't think Liverpool took they took their obviously portion, but they wouldn't have taken what big clubs do when they have small teams come away to them. And obviously it was on Sky, so they got their revenue from that. So it all helps the club in the long term. It was like Burton got quite a fair whack from last year's one, especially playing City.
And of course that was semi-finals, so that was over 2 legs, so you know they get the TV revenue from that. Who then are you going for as the winner of this competition this season?
You can't look past City, can you? Realistically, their squad is just an absolute joke, and Pep is a wizard. I would say whoever comes out the Arsenal-Liverpool tie will be up there semis-wise, minimum. But I can't look past City, realistically. What about you?
Difficult one. Obviously, with the draw, City have probably got the most favourable tie out of the big hitters left.
To be fair, it's not an easy game, Southampton.
No,
it is at home.
Yeah, but it's the most favourable, like I say, out of because all the other big hitters have drawn each other. So I think if Chelsea get through against United, I think they could do it. Personally, I think Frank has been there, seen it, done it, and I think for him to get a trophy in his first season,
that would be massive.
It'll be huge, obviously, and it will help him in the long term as well, because I think, obviously, yes, we know Chelsea got a transfer ban and everything like that, so he's not had the opportunity to change much with the squad, but it will give those young players the winning taste and the winning feeling to then go on and win more going forward. And then also it does attract players as well. It may not attract the big player, but they see that, they've won a trophy at least.
Yeah. And that there's a solid project there.
Yeah, but I think as much as it pains me to say it, I think Chelsea are probably my team that I'm
tipping. To be fair, could be a Chelsea City final again.
Could be. But then obviously you've got, Liverpool in the way that they're going at the minute. They're absolutely flying.
Yeah.
So I think Liverpool will obviously be there or thereabouts really. Right, guys. Thank you very much for watching. Make sure you give it a like. Don't forget to comment and make sure you subscribe as well.